The news spread quickly across Earth. The Galactic Empire had arrived. The giant fleet hovered over the planet, its ships casting shadows over cities below. The Empire's leaders were confident. They thought humanity was too divided and weak to resist. Earth, they believed, would kneel before their might. The Empire's emissaries sent a simple message. Earth's leaders were to gather and surrender to the Empire's rule, or face complete destruction. But something unexpected happened. Instead of fear, humanity felt a spark of unity. People from every nation, language, and background put aside their differences. They knew what they were facing, and they knew they could not allow their planet to fall under the control of these cold, powerful invaders. Across the world, Earth's leaders called for a meeting. It was an emergency summit, the first time in history that every nation had gathered under one banner. Military officials, scientists, engineers, and even ordinary citizens came together to discuss the impossible situation they found themselves in. They were not just talking about their survival, they were talking about the survival of humanity. "We cannot let them take our home," said General Aisha Patel, a military leader from India, speaking to the assembled world leaders. "We may not have their technology, but we have something they don't: the will to fight." The room was filled with tension. Some were afraid. How could they possibly stand against a fleet so vast, so powerful? But others, like General Patel, believed in humanity's hidden strengths. They knew that Earth had never been one to back down from a challenge. And so, they made a decision. They would not surrender. Earth would fight. The first step was to organize the resistance. The world's militaries, though divided by their past conflicts, quickly formed an alliance. They combined their resources, pooling everything they had, from weapons to technology. At the same time, Earth's brightest minds worked tirelessly to create new solutions. Scientists and engineers from every country collaborated to build tools and weapons that could level the playing field against the Empire's advanced technology. While the resistance was forming, a small group of hackers began working on a new plan. They knew that the Empire's fleet communicated through a series of encrypted signals. If they could break the encryption, they might be able to send a message straight to the heart of the Empire. It wasn't just about resistance, it was about showing the Empire that Earth was not afraid. Days turned into weeks, and the resistance grew stronger. Humanity's collective intelligence and creativity began to shine through. They used their knowledge of Earth's environment to develop plans that the Empire had never considered. For example, humanity's understanding of the solar system's gravity allowed them to create clever traps and ambushes. It was a risky strategy, but it worked. One of the first successful attacks came as a shock. A small resistance group managed to hack into one of the Empire's ships and sent a virus that disabled its weapon systems. The Empire, which had always relied on its superior technology, was stunned. How could this be? How could humans, with all their supposed weaknesses, have outsmarted them? In the chaos, the hackers sent their message: "We are not your slaves. We refuse to kneel." The Empire was caught off guard. They had expected a planet full of fearful, helpless people. Instead, they found a world filled with ingenuity, determination, and creativity. Earth was not the weak and divided planet they thought it was. Back on Earth, the people began to believe in the impossible. News spread that the resistance had struck a blow to the Empire, and hope started to grow. Even those who had doubted humanity's ability to fight now began to see a glimmer of hope. But the Empire was not going to give up easily. They quickly launched a counteroffensive, sending more ships and reinforcements. They were determined to crush this unexpected resistance before it could gain momentum. Yet, with every new attack, the people of Earth only grew stronger. They realized that together, they could do what seemed impossible. In every corner of the globe, there were small victories. A city in Europe managed to disable a large Empire warship with a makeshift weapon built by ordinary citizens. In Africa, a team of engineers developed a powerful energy shield that protected a critical base. Across the Americas, people formed networks of communication, ensuring that the Empire's attacks could be anticipated and countered. Each victory sent a message to the Empire. We are not afraid. The resistance wasn't just about fighting back. It was about showing the galaxy that humanity could not be crushed. As Earth's forces grew bolder, the Empire began to realize that this was not an easy conquest. Humanity was not just defending their planet. They were fighting for their future. They were fighting for their right to remain free. And the Empire, once so sure of their superiority, began to question their ability to win this war. The Empire's fleet loomed above Earth, a constant reminder of the power they wielded. Their ships were massive, their weapons terrifying, and their technology far beyond anything humanity had ever seen. Yet, despite the odds, Earth's resistance was growing stronger. They had taken the first steps toward victory. But the real test was still ahead. The Empire's commanders had underestimated humanity. They thought that Earth would fall easily, that their technological superiority would crush any attempt to resist. But as the days passed, the Empire began to realize they had made a critical mistake. Humanity was not as weak as they had believed. General Aisha Patel stood in the operations center, watching the live feed of the Empire's ships hovering over Earth. The resistance had already begun to make its mark, but they needed more. They needed to hit the Empire where it hurt, to show them that humanity would not back down. "We need to think differently," General Patel said, her voice calm but firm. "We don't have their firepower, but we have something they don't: our creativity." At that moment, one of her officers spoke up. "We've just received word from the hacking team. They managed to infiltrate one of their ships again. It's not much, but it's a start." The officer's words brought a spark of hope to the room. Humanity's hackers had already taken down one of the Empire's warships with a clever virus. Now they had the chance to do it again. The resistance was learning quickly, finding ways to turn the Empire's advanced technology against them. The idea was simple, yet bold. The Empire relied on a vast network of communication and sensors that connected their ships. If humanity could disrupt this network, they could isolate the Empire's forces, making them easier to attack. The challenge was enormous, but the resistance had nothing to lose. "We need to hit their communications hub," General Patel ordered. "If we can cut off their ability to coordinate, they'll be vulnerable." The resistance quickly sprang into action. Engineers, scientists, and hackers worked around the clock to develop a weapon capable of disabling the Empire's communication system. Using a combination of old Earth technology and newly developed gadgets, they built a device that could jam the Empire's frequencies. The first strike came in the dead of night. The resistance sent a small team of soldiers to a nearby satellite base that the Empire used to monitor Earth. They infiltrated the base, planting the jamming device inside the communication center. As the device powered up, the Empire's fleet suddenly went silent. Their ships lost contact with each other, unable to communicate or share information. For a few precious moments, the Empire's forces were blind. It was enough time for the resistance to launch a surprise attack. Fighter jets, built with Earth's own technology, swarmed toward the Empire's ships. The Empire's defenses were slow to react. They had expected to face an organized force, not the chaos of human ingenuity. The first strike was a success. A large destroyer was disabled, its weapon systems completely shut down. The Empire's commanders were furious, scrambling to regain control of their forces. But it was too late. The resistance, empowered by their unexpected victory, pressed on. Earth's forces, now working in unison, launched a series of attacks, each one more daring than the last. They targeted weak points in the Empire's ships, using Earth's knowledge of the solar system to their advantage. The asteroid belt became a deadly obstacle for the Empire's fleet, forcing them to navigate through dangerous fields of rocks and debris. On Earth's surface, the war was not just being fought in the skies. In cities across the globe, the resistance fought to protect their homes. Ordinary citizens, once afraid of the Empire, now fought alongside the soldiers. They set up barricades, defended key locations, and helped repair damaged equipment. Every person played a part in the Resistance's success. The unexpected victories piled up. Each one brought a new sense of hope to Earth. News of the successful strikes spread like wildfire, igniting a fire within every person. People began to believe that they could win this war. They could defeat the Empire. The Empire, however, was not ready to give up. They sent reinforcements from their homeworlds, ships that were even more advanced than the ones already deployed. But each new attack only made Earth's resistance stronger. They had learned from their mistakes, and they were getting better with every battle. Humanity's greatest strength was not in their weapons or technology, but in their ability to adapt and think outside the box. The Empire relied on their superior firepower, but humanity relied on their creativity, their determination, and their will to survive. And it was this spirit that was beginning to turn the tide in their favor. As the Empire's fleet slowly began to retreat, Earth's resistance gathered their forces for the final push. General Potul stood at the front of the operations center, looking at the map of the galaxy. The war was far from over, but the Empire had been dealt a serious blow. Humanity had shown the universe that they would not be defeated. "We've only just begun," General Potul said, her voice filled with confidence. "The Empire may have their ships, but we have something far more powerful, our will to fight." And with that, Earth's resistance prepared for the next battle, knowing that they had something the Empire could never take away: their strength and their freedom. The resistance had made incredible progress in a short amount of time, but the war was far from over. The Empire, now aware of humanity's unexpected strength, was sending reinforcements from all corners of the galaxy. New warships, advanced weapons, and elite soldiers began flooding into Earth's orbit. The situation was growing dire, but Earth's resistance wasn't giving up. They had already defied expectations, and they were determined to keep fighting. General Aisha Patel stood before a large map in the war room, watching as the Empire's new fleet moved into position. Their ships were larger, faster, and more powerful than anything humanity had faced before. But she knew that even the strongest ships could have weaknesses, and the Resistance had learned how to exploit those weaknesses. "We need to hit them hard before they can settle into their new positions," General Patel said, her voice steady. "If we don't act fast, we'll be fighting on their terms." Her officers nodded in agreement. They knew that they had no chance of matching the Empire's strength head-to-head, but they had something far more important. They had the advantage of surprise and the element of creativity. The Resistance's engineers and scientists worked around the clock, developing new technologies to level the playing field. One of their most ambitious projects was the construction of a new type of weapon, a powerful EMP device capable of disabling an entire fleet. It was a risky move, but it could give humanity the edge they needed. While the scientists worked on the weapon, Earth's military forces focused on smaller but effective tactics. They used guerrilla-style attacks, hitting the Empire's supply lines and communications hubs. The Empire's reinforcements were pouring in, but they were having trouble organizing. Humanity's forces were scattered and unpredictable, making it nearly impossible for the Empire to gain a clear advantage. Then, the Resistance launched their boldest plan yet. A small fleet of human ships, equipped with the new EMP devices, set out for the heart of the Empire's fleet. Their mission was clear: disable as many of the Empire's ships as possible. It was a risky move. The Empire's fleet was well guarded, and the human ships were vastly outnumbered. But the Resistance had no choice. If they were going to win this war, they needed to take risks. The operation was set in motion, and the small fleet moved stealthily toward the Empire's position. They used the asteroid belt as cover, carefully navigating through the floating rocks and debris. The Empire's sensors were too focused on the front lines to detect the small fleet of human ships slipping through the gaps. The first part of the mission was a success. The human ships reached the Empire's fleet undetected. Then they deployed the EMP devices. The massive wave of energy sent out by the devices disabled the Empire's communication and control systems. For a brief moment, the Empire's fleet was blind and helpless. In that moment of chaos, the resistance struck. Fighter jets swarmed the Empire's ships, targeting their weak points. The human pilots, though outnumbered and outgunned, fought with incredible skill and determination. The Empire's ships, once thought invincible, were now vulnerable to attacks that they hadn't anticipated. The Empire scrambled to regain control of their fleet, but it was too late. The EMP devices had caused enough damage to create a massive disruption in their command structure. Ships collided, and the Empire's reinforcements were thrown into disarray. For the first time, it was the Empire's forces that were on the defensive. General Patel watched as the battle unfolded on the screens. She could hardly believe it. The plan had worked. Humanity had struck a powerful blow to the Empire, and their forces were beginning to crumble. "We can win this," she whispered to herself. "We can really win this." As the battle raged on, Earth's resistance continued to press their advantage. They had crippled the Empire's ability to fight as a cohesive force, and now it was time to strike for the final push. The Empire had been knocked off balance, and Earth's forces were ready to take full advantage. The resistance fighters, once only a ragtag group of soldiers, hackers, and civilians, had now become a well-organized and powerful military force. They knew that their strength didn't come from their numbers, but from their unity, their creativity, and their unwavering belief in their cause. The tide had turned. The Empire, which had once seemed unstoppable, was now on the retreat. Earth had proven that it could stand up to the greatest power in the galaxy. Humanity had shown the universe that they would not be bowed or broken. They would fight, and they would win. As General Patel watched the Empire's forces begin to retreat, she felt a surge of hope. The war wasn't over, but Earth had taken its first real step toward victory. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now they were paying the price. "This is just the beginning," General Patel said, turning to her officers. "We've shown them what we're made of. Now, let's finish this." And so, the battle for Earth continued, but now the resistance knew that victory was within their reach. The Empire's strength was fading, and humanity's will to survive was stronger than ever. The victory that humanity had won was still fresh in their minds. Earth's resistance had dealt a significant blow to the Empire, and for the first time since the war began, the Empire seemed uncertain. Their forces were shaken, and the once invincible fleet had been crippled. But the battle was far from over. General Aisha Patel knew that the Empire would not back down so easily. They had already shown their ruthlessness, and their forces were now regrouping. Earth's resistance had made significant progress, but the Empire was far from defeated. The road to victory would be long, and they needed to be prepared for the challenges ahead. "We cannot afford to relax," General Patel said, standing in the war room surrounded by her officers. "The Empire will come back stronger. They will adapt, and we must be ready for whatever they throw at us next." Her words were a reminder that the fight was far from over. Humanity's forces were still outnumbered, and their resources were limited. The Empire had far more ships, advanced technology, and experienced soldiers. But Earth had something the Empire didn't: an unyielding spirit. Across the world, the resistance continued to grow. What had once been a handful of fighters was now an organized global force. Every corner of Earth had contributed to the war effort. The world's citizens had come together, united by a single purpose: to protect their home and fight for their freedom. As the Empire regrouped, they launched a counteroffensive. New reinforcements arrived from their home planets, and the Empire's fleets began to grow in strength again. The Empire's command structures had been shaken, but they were rebuilding. Soon, they would be ready for another confrontation. General Patel watched as reports of the Empire's movements came in. They were planning a massive assault, one that would bring Earth's defenses to their breaking point. The Empire was sending their best troops and ships, including the feared Dominion-class dreadnought, a massive warship capable of destroying entire cities with a single blast. "We need to hit them before they can launch their assault," General Patel said. "If we can't stop them in time, Earth could be lost." The resistance had no choice but to take the fight to the Empire. They couldn't wait for the Empire to come to them. It was time for a bold plan. General Patel ordered a series of covert missions to target the Empire's key strongholds. They had learned the Empire's weaknesses, and now they would use that knowledge to strike hard. One of the most dangerous missions involved a group of elite resistance fighters infiltrating an Empire stronghold on a distant planet. Their goal was to sabotage the Empire's command center and disrupt their communications once again. If they succeeded, it would delay the Empire's assault and buy Earth's forces more time to prepare. The mission was risky, but the resistance had no other option. The team of soldiers, led by Commander Elijah Brooks, boarded a stealth ship and traveled to the Empire-controlled planet. Their target was a heavily fortified base, and the Empire would be watching for any signs of rebellion. As they arrived, the team moved swiftly, using the terrain to stay hidden. They made their way through the planet's dense forests, avoiding detection. Commander Brooks led the way, guiding his team through the hostile landscape. Every step was calculated, every move carefully planned. They reached the Empire's base undetected, and the team quickly set to work. They planted explosives in key areas, aiming to take out the base's power supply and communication systems. If they could cripple the Empire's operations on this planet, it would be a major victory for humanity. But just as they were finishing their mission, an alarm blared. The Empire had discovered their presence. "Get to the extraction point," Commander Brooks shouted, his voice urgent. The team moved quickly, but they were not fast enough. Empire soldiers were closing in on their position. They had to fight their way out. A fierce battle erupted in the base, but the resistance fighters were determined. They fought with everything they had, using their knowledge of the terrain and their skills in combat to hold off the Empire's forces. But they couldn't keep up the fight forever. The Empire was too powerful, and they were surrounded. Just as it seemed that all hope was lost, a series of explosions rocked the base. The explosives had been triggered, and the base's power grid began to fail. The resistance fighters used this opportunity to make a daring escape, racing to their ship and launching into space. The mission had been a success, but at a cost. Many of the team members had been wounded, and the Empire would soon come after them with even more force. But the resistance had achieved their goal. They had delayed the Empire's assault and caused enough damage to make them rethink their next move. As the team returned to Earth, General Patel prepared for the Empire's retaliation. They had won a small victory, but the war was far from over. The Empire would strike back, and humanity would need to be ready. "This is just the beginning," General Patel said to her officers. "We've shown the Empire that we will not give up. They may be stronger, but we have something they can never defeat: our will to fight." And so, the war continued. Humanity had proven that they could strike back at the Empire. But the road to victory would be long and filled with challenges. The resistance was ready for whatever the Empire had in store, and they would continue to fight for their freedom. The battle for Earth had reached a tense pause. After the resistance's daring missions and the Empire's heavy counteroffensive, both sides had pulled back to regroup. General Aisha Patel stood on the bridge of Earth's flagship, staring out into the vastness of space. The stars were distant, but to her, they felt closer than ever before. The war had made everything feel so immediate. The Empire, though wounded, was not done. Their massive warships continued to loom in orbit, their sleek forms a constant reminder of the power they wielded. But the Empire had learned one painful truth: Earth would not bow to them. The humans had proven that they could fight, and more importantly, they had shown that they could win. Yet victory still seemed so far away. "How much time do we have?" General Patel asked, her voice calm but firm. Her chief strategist, Commander Evan Tran, tapped a few buttons on the console in front of him. We have 2 days, maybe 3. The Empire will recover soon. We need to make sure we're ready for them. Do we have enough resources? Patil inquired, turning to face him. The supplies were dwindling, and Earth's factories were working overtime to meet the growing demand for weapons, ammunition, and ship repairs. But no matter how hard they worked, there were always more things to be done. We're stretched thin, but we can hold for a while longer. Our engineers have been developing new tech, and our forces are getting better at working together. The Empire isn't ready for us, Commander Tran said, offering a reassuring smile. Despite his confidence, General Patel couldn't shake the feeling of impending danger. The Empire might be struggling, but they had never been a force to underestimate. The quiet before the storm made her nervous. Every day of peace felt like a gift, but she knew it wouldn't last. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sharp voice of Lieutenant Rebecca Hayes, the fleet's communications officer. "General, we're receiving a message from the Empire." Patel's heart skipped a beat. The Empire rarely communicated directly with Earth, and when they did, it was usually to demand surrender or issue threats. She nodded for the communication to be patched through. A holographic image flickered to life before her. A stern, emotionless face of an Empire officer. "You are warned for the last time. Earth," the officer's voice boomed. "Surrender, or we will destroy your world. Your resistance has proven to be a nuisance, but nothing more. We will not stop until your planet is ours." General Patel's eyes narrowed. The words weren't a surprise, but the anchor behind them was. Earth had proven its strength, but the Empire refused to acknowledge it. Still, she kept her composure, knowing that every word she spoke would matter. "We will never surrender," General Patel replied, her voice steady. "Earth stands united. We will fight until the last of us remains." The officer's face tightened, and the transmission ended abruptly. The silence that followed felt heavy. General Patel turned to her officers, who were waiting for her to speak. "They'll be coming soon," she said softly. "We have to prepare. Now is the time for everything we've learned. The Empire has underestimated us, but we have one advantage. They don't know what we're capable of." The next 48 hours were a blur of activity. The resistance forces worked tirelessly, strengthening Earth's defenses and putting into place the final pieces of their grand strategy. They worked together, each person contributing their skills to the collective effort. The factories churned out weapons and supplies, the soldiers trained in new tactics, and the engineers improved their ships and technology. Commander Tran and his team continued their work on the new weaponry, a secret project designed to give the humans a fighting chance against the Empire's overwhelming firepower. The weapon was a closely guarded secret, and only a few knew its full capabilities. General Patel trusted them, but she knew the real test would come when they faced the Empire in open battle. As the final preparations were made, General Patel took a moment to stand on the observation deck, watching the stars once more. It was a peaceful sight, one she had grown to love. Earth had always been a place of quiet beauty, but now it was a place of defiance. It was humanity's home, and they would protect it with every ounce of strength they had. Lieutenant Hayes approached her with a concerned expression. "General, there's something you need to see." Patel followed Hayes to the communication center, where a new message had just come through. The screen flickered with a warning. "General," the officer's voice crackled, "we've located an Empire fleet. It's larger than anything we've seen before. They're coming directly toward us." The warning sent a ripple of tension through the room. The time had come. The storm was no longer just a threat. It was on their doorstep. "We've prepared for this," General Patel said, her voice resolute. "We'll fight with everything we have." Her officers exchanged determined glances. They knew what was at stake. The Empire's fleet, massive and unstoppable as it seemed, was about to collide with Earth's last stand. But Earth's resistance was strong. The fight for survival was about to begin. The time had come. The Empire's fleet, larger than anything humanity had ever seen, was now moving toward Earth. The final battle was upon them. General Aisha Patel stood once again on the bridge of Earth's flagship, her eyes locked on the holographic display showing the massive approaching force. The resistance had prepared as best as they could. Earth's defenses had been strengthened, new weapons had been developed, and the soldiers were ready to give everything for their home. But no matter how much they had done, the reality remained. This would be the toughest fight of their lives. If the Empire succeeded now, Earth would be lost. "We've come too far to turn back now," General Patel said to her officers, her voice filled with both determination and calm. "We hold nothing back. This is for Earth, for every person who's fought, for every person who believes in freedom. We fight as one." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of everything they had endured. The officers nodded in agreement, each one feeling the gravity of the moment. They knew what was at stake. This battle would decide the fate of Earth. Commander Evan Tran stood nearby, looking at the screen as the Empire's fleet grew closer. "General, they're about an hour away from entering our defensive range. We need to start our counteroffensive now." General Patel nodded. The time for waiting was over. "Activate all defenses," she ordered. "Prepare our ships for launch. We fight now." Across Earth, the call to arms echoed. Citizens who had once been civilians now donned the uniform of the resistance. Young and old, from all corners of the planet, everyone was ready. The entire world seemed to hold its breath as humanity's forces mobilized. The battle began with the first wave of the Empire's ships entering Earth's space. They were massive, each one a symbol of the Empire's overwhelming power. But humanity had learned to fight against impossible odds. They used their home turf to their advantage, drawing the Empire's forces into traps and using the terrain of space to hide their movements. General Patel's flagship led the charge, weaving through the enemy fleet with precision. The resistance ships, though smaller, were faster and more agile. They darted in and out of the enemy's lines, launching surprise attacks that rattled the Empire's forces. "Hold steady," General Patel instructed. "We need to break through their lines." Her fleet responded with unwavering determination. The new weapons they had developed were proving effective. Energy beams and missile blasts struck Empire ships, causing them to flare and crumble. But despite their efforts, the Empire's fleet remained strong. The enemy ships fired back with incredible force, and the resistance took heavy losses. Commander Tran was in constant communication with the fleet, coordinating every movement, every attack. "We've got to target their command ships," he said, watching the hologram. "If we can disable their leadership, we can break their coordination." General Patel agreed. "All ships focus on their command ships. We take out their leadership, and we cripple their army." The resistance fighters concentrated their fire on the largest, most heavily armored ships in the Empire's fleet. The battle raged on, with explosions lighting up the dark expanse of space. The air was thick with tension, and every moment felt like it could be their last. Lieutenant Rebecca Hayes, watching the communications grid, noticed something. "General, the Empire is sending reinforcements. A new fleet is on its way. We're going to be outnumbered." General Patel didn't flinch. "We'll hold our ground. Humanity doesn't retreat." As the Empire's reinforcements arrived, the situation grew even more desperate. The resistance was now facing an overwhelming force. Their ships were getting battered, and many of their soldiers had already given everything they had. But Earth's people weren't ready to surrender. In the midst of the chaos, one of Earth's secret weapons, a new energy shield technology, was deployed for the first time. The shield surrounded Earth's capital city, where the remaining civilians were sheltered. The weapon was designed to protect Earth's heart, the symbol of humanity's resilience. With it, they could endure longer, buying precious time. General Patel received a transmission from Commander Tran. "We've done it, General. We've disabled their main command ship. The Empire's fleet is in disarray. We can win this." But just as hope seemed within reach, an enormous blast tore through the space near Earth. The Empire had launched a desperate final attack, and it was aimed directly at the planet's surface. "Prepare the defenses," General Patel shouted. "Activate the planetary shields now." The moment of truth arrived. The shield that surrounded Earth's capital shimmered with incredible power as the blast approached. It was a massive wave of energy, one that could destroy the entire planet if it hit. The tension was unbearable as the energy wave collided with Earth's defense. For a moment, everything went dark. Then, the shield glowed brightly, holding strong against the Empire's attack. Earth had survived. The resistance had done it. The Empire's final strike had been blocked. The Empire's fleet, now leaderless and broken, began to retreat. The battle was won. General Patel stood silent for a moment, taking in the victory. It was over. The Empire had been defeated, and Earth was free. The cost had been high, but humanity had shown the galaxy that they would never kneel. "We did it," Commander Tran said, his voice filled with disbelief. "We did," General Patel replied, a sense of pride and relief washing over her. "This is humanity's victory, and we'll never forget the price we paid to keep our freedom." As the smoke cleared and the last of the Empire's ships disappeared into the distance, Earth stood strong, united, and free, forever a symbol of humanity's strength and will to survive.